Welcome, entrepreneurs. I'm Ann Kay on my lifelong quest, escaping ordinary. Join me as I interview wildly successful and rising entrepreneurs that value travel as an essential influence in their outlook and mindset, and how it helps them live happy, fulfilling lives, build successful businesses, and craft their own extraordinary lives. I'm Ann Kay, and this is Escaping Ordinary. I'm so excited about today's guest, but first, if you missed the last episode, I hope you'll check out my interview with Chantel Turner, an amazing woman that faced a devastating outcome, which drove her to search for help that didn't exist. So she successfully filled that need, which led her to becoming a guru for help coaches and course creators to build their brands. Hello, I'm Ann Kay, and welcome to Escaping Ordinary. Today I'm excited to introduce you to my friend Nic Fitzgerald. Nic is really a giant at 6 feet 9 inches tall. He's a Utah-based entrepreneur who figured out how to serve people using his creative abilities. A former Division I and semi-pro basketball player, he struggled transitioning from competing on the court to competing in corporate America. After many attempts and different career paths, he finally listened to his inner voice and became an entrepreneur. He founded Friendly Giant Films in 2015. Since then, he has worked on 14 feature films, 2 television series, many commercials, and was a freelance photojournalist for the NBC affiliate in Salt Lake City. He even acted in front of the camera in a role in an upcoming feature film. Can't wait to hear about that. He is now a storytelling marketer, and his focus is on helping business entrepreneurs find and tell their stories. He specializes in leveraging your stories and experiences to sell more of your products and services through video, building relationships and emotional connections between brands and their audiences. He has spoken on stage to thousands of people, sharing his journey and how he used storytelling to build a brand from thin air. He also became a best-selling author with the release of $1 Million Story, inspiring many to take action, tell their stories, and serve people at the highest level. I know this is a long introduction, but I have to tell you on a personal note, I've been looking forward to having him as my guest since the first thought of having a show, and to have him agree to be guest on my launch week is like devouring a frozen double thick mocha fudge cinnamon swirl rum cocktail through a purple and white straw. How's that for being descriptive, my storytelling Jedi master? Oh yeah, he's also a premier authority on anything Star Wars, so of course I had to have him on my May the 4th be with you launch day. I'll try to shut up now so you can let us know a little bit more about you and give us a brief overview of your new storytelling for business framework before I ask you my one big launch week question. Welcome my friendly giant friend Nic Fitzgerald to Escaping Ordinary.
And it's awesome to be here. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you as well.
It's been a couple of months since we were together.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but it's good. The thing that's great about the relationships that we build is like years, months, weeks, however long periods of time can go by, and you pick up right where we left off, and that's what's awesome about you. And it's like, before we connected a few months ago, it was almost 8 months before
it's
that.
True. It's true. A few chats on Facebook, and that's about it.
Yeah.
First off, thank you for agreeing to come back and going deeper into your storytelling for business framework program. And I hope you'll also come back and talk more detail about your other programs as well. But now's the time for me to give you that one big question I ask each of my guests. Looking back at experiences in your life, whether traveling somewhere around the world or just across town, is there one significant influential experience you could share with us that inspired change in who you became as the result, and how that allowed you to craft successful changes in your personal life and business?
Absolutely. I've had lots of journeys in my life, physical ones and the metaphorical types. But one specific example or one experience comes to mind where I had, in storytelling, there's the hero's 2 journeys where there was a literal physical journey for me, but then there was a transformational journey for me as well. And that started back, it was 2018. Was when this trip happened. And up to this point, in my life and in my career. I had transitioned out of working in film. I was focusing solely on being able to help entrepreneurs and businesses with their storytelling and creating awesome videos for them. And I had made that shift due to some crazy experiences, which we can get into. I started wanting to help more businesses and being very intentional about how I went about doing that. And I have a friend who is also a mentor. He became a mentor. He's an old friend from back in elementary school. We've known each other since kindergarten. And he's a successful entrepreneur. His name's Russell Brunson, and he owns a company called ClickFunnels. And he and I had reconnected through some of my crazy experiences and going on social media and sharing some of the journey. And he was holding a conference in Orlando, Florida in 2018 for a thing that he calls Funnel Hacking Live. And we had reconnected, and I had started making changes in my business and seeing some cool things happen. But I still, wasn't in a great financial situation. And so we were chatting one day, and he said, "Hey, are you going to come to Funnel Hacking Live?" And I said, I would totally love to, but it was being held in Orlando. I live in Utah, and it was being held at a Disney resort for a whole week, right? So I had enough money that I could get a plane ticket there, but I didn't have enough money for a week's worth of Disney resort hotel costs,
Yeah.
food, and all of those kinds of things. And I didn't know anybody there either aside from him. And I knew I wasn't going to get to hang out with him because he was going to be busy. So I was kind of like, I would love to, it'd be really cool, but I can't afford it. Oh, and then on top of it, to actually get into the conference, it was another $1,000 just for the ticket to get in, right?
Yeah.
And so we were talking, and he said, "Dude, I know if you can get there, it'll change everything for you." So he was generous and offered me a free ticket. He said, "If you can get here, I'll get you in the door." And so, I thought about it, and I said, I'd be crazy to turn down this offer. So I scraped up what money I had to get a plane ticket, and then I put my hotel room on credit cards, and went to Orlando. And it was so crazy because, again, I didn't know anybody there. Everyone was a complete stranger. And it was amazing. The first day, the very first speech or presentation, I was just floating. I just felt that energy so high. And I just was just that one speech alone was worth the cost of getting here. I was just so fired up and so ready to take on the world. And that was just the first message. And it just got better and better and better as the week went on with every presentation. And it culminated with an awesome Tony Robbins session. And if you've never been to something that he does, man, it is powerful.
Amazing.
Very cool. But during the course of that, I started to meet people. And up to that point in my career, I've worked in corporate America, and I went from job to job to job trying to find something that worked for me, but, not finding fulfillment in the work that I was doing. And my experiences with CEOs and business owners and stuff was not a pleasant one. I worked for and with a lot of selfish people who would, throw their mom under the bus or sell her down the river in order to get ahead. And I didn't think that nice people could be the people that cared, so to speak, could be CEOs and lead businesses. But every single person that I met and that I talked to, I was so stunned and amazed and surprised that there were people like me, and they were making millions of dollars, and they were helping a lot of people, and they were growing businesses and employing people and making a true impact. And I was just so amazed at the community that was there. And so I learned that I wasn't alone in my journey, that I wasn't crazy for wanting to do what I wanted to do, which, as entrepreneurs, anyone who has ever gone down that path, whether you stayed on it, you're still on it, or you've been going for a while, it's a lonely journey at times. Yeah. Even with your family members and the people closest to you, they don't truly understand what's going on in your heart and in your mind and everything that you're fighting for. So it was just so empowering for me to be able to feel like I wasn't alone and to know that I wasn't. And then, on the third day, Russell did an amazing pitch for a coaching program. And it was so fun to watch the master at work, so to speak, because he's a brilliant salesperson. He is so good at it. And it was just fun to kind of see behind the curtain and watch the wizard working his magic. So, and the thing that was so powerful for me was witnessing that, but then the coaching program and how it was positioned and how it was proposed, it was exactly what I wanted and what I needed in my business. And I was so excited. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna join this thing. It's gonna be amazing, and my business is gonna change, and all these things. And then it got to the end where he dropped what the price was, and the price for the program at that time was $1,800 a month, or $18,000 if you paid it all at once for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a punch in the gut for me. It was just like there was no way I could afford that. We were living in the basement of a family member. We were renting it for like $700 a month because they were super nice and working with us as I was trying to reestablish myself after a failed financial services career. But there was no way that I could justify that. But I wanted it so badly. It was just like, oh, I was just so fired up and I wanted it to happen. So I called my wife and I told her all about the program and everything. We talked every night while I was gone and stuff. So it was just like the daily recap.
Mm-hmm.
I told her about it and trying to get her excited about the idea without dropping the price, because I knew once I brought the dollar amount, it was just going to be, we can't do that. Then when I finally did share the price with her, we couldn't do it financially. We couldn't make it work. Then I talked to my dad on the phone, same kind of thing, just talking to him about it. And I was like, looking back, I was looking for somebody to give me permission to take action on what I wanted. But of course, when you're waiting for somebody else to give you permission, you're going to be waiting for that. Yep. And so I didn't sleep well that night. I tossed and turned. I shed some tears. I felt stress because I just knew how impactful this program would be for me. Not because it was going to do everything for me, but it was going to show me the steps that I could take and the things that I could do in order to grow my business the way I wanted it. And so I left the next morning, fully intended, I'm not going to buy it, I'm just going to work my butt off. And when the next opportunity comes, I'll be in a position where I can afford it, possibly, right? I remember I walked into the room and I was talking with one of my friends and I just had this like voice like in me going like, go and sign up now. If you don't, you won't take the steps necessary in order for you to grow the way that you want it. And I'm a big proponent. I tell people all the time that to never let your mind talk your heart out of doing something.
Yes.
And I've gotten good at listening at it, but this one I was fighting it really hard because the brain was just really firing on all cylinders with all the warning signs or all the danger elements. And I got the chills and like the goosebumps, and I just said, I excused myself from the conversation. I went over and I signed up, and I didn't pay for the whole thing. I just put the first month on a credit card, and I got like I was just full of energy, just buzzing and just feeling it was amazing. And then that wore off after about 35 minutes or so, where I was just like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to tell this to my wife? I already put a couple $1,000s on for just hotel rooms in order to be down here for a week. And I just threw another couple thousand on, I was like really stressed about it. But I returned home, like really focused. And I had an element of, I've got 30 days to make this work and to like at least cover that and get the next month's payment covered, or I'm going to have to make have an awkward conversation with my wife and make a hard decision. And so, that journey was so, foundational for me, like physically to go, and it's fun to travel and I met a bunch of new people who are still good friends to me to this day. And Russell's still a mentor of mine, and my business has grown a ton because of the things that I did through the coaching and the lessons and the things that I learned. And it was just so powerful that like, if I would have stayed home and just tried to figure things out myself, I would not be where I'm at. I'm pretty sure that we'd still be renting that basement apartment from a family member, or I would have had to have gone and got a quote unquote real job again, because I've got 4 kids, I'm married, I have responsibilities, and I have to take care of, so that journey got me to take steps towards change. But then it also like promoted me to grow like an insane amount. Like within 2 weeks of getting home from that conference, I had the pressure on, right? I still hadn't told my wife that I had joined the coaching program at this point, because I was like, I had some client meetings and I was like, I'm going to make this work. And then when I tell her, it won't be a big deal because the cost will be covered, all that kind of stuff. And within 2 weeks, I actually did close a deal with a client for $25,000. And it was my first 5-figure deal. And I was on cloud 9, and I celebrated with my wife, and I celebrated with myself in the car right afterwards. And also with my mentor friend, telling him the good news. How I had that meeting scheduled before I was going to go to Orlando. But if I hadn't gone through that journey and how it changed me and how it motivated me and how it had given me a reason to really push forward, who knows what the outcome of that would have been, or if I would have just been content in my old ways to be like, oh yeah, we can do this for a couple $100 or a couple $1,000, which was kind of what I was doing with clients at the time, where this was a $25,000 project. And it was...
You had your posture.
Yes, exactly. I had the confidence, I had the swagger, and I had the drive and like the pressure put on me that I wouldn't have had if I didn't go on that journey. So for me, that one journey I've had tons of journeys that were very impactful in my life as well, but like, that one is what changed my life.
It's pivotal.
Yeah, exactly. To be able to have my life in the shape that it is right now, serving people the way that I'm able to now. And,
in a beautiful home.
Yeah, exactly. Like
beautiful new home.
Yeah, since then, that was April of 2018 when I got home for that conference, when I closed that deal. And since then, by December of that same year, we had moved out of the basement and into a house. I have a garage that I can park my car in. For the first time ever in my life, I've never had one. I had a carport or, just in the driveway and things like that. And I was able to go on a cruise with my wife for a whole week, which was our first trip going anywhere, just the two of us. That was more than just an overnight stay somewhere close by. And it just changed my life going through that journey because it gave me the confidence. It gave me the purpose to go forward and make changes in my life and in my business and to implement new ideas that I was receiving from the coaching and the mentorship that I was paying for. And
what an awesome story.
So different now, right?
Yeah. What an awesome story. It really is. We've talked in the past before, and when you told that to me, it was very moving. And I love when people listen to their heart and move forward and don't let anybody else dissuade them from their vision. I'm so glad you decided to come back and share some more of your story. This is so short note. There's so many questions I have for you. But thank you for coming back. We'll look forward to talking more about your storytelling for business framework program that you have. And please tell people now how to reach you about the framework and also about any other programs you might have available.
Yeah. So the best place to get a hold of me is on friendlygiantfilms.com. You can see a video that kind of gives you a sense of how I like to use stories and video together. And you can actually download a free copy of my storytelling framework as well right there. See the other fun stuff that I'm working on. That's the best place to be able to go see me. And then also I have a Facebook page, Nic Fitzgerald Entrepreneur page on Facebook, where I do frequent Facebook Lives, do some teaching, do some coaching, that kind of stuff as well. So those are the best two places to find.
When you got to come back and tell me about that movie you're in.
Oh yeah, we'll
have to do that next time. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much for listening to this show. It's been great to have you here. And if you liked what you heard, please hit the subscribe button now, like, share, and leave a rave review below. It would be most appreciated. And don't forget to join us next week. I can't wait to introduce you to my next guest. While you're at it, head over to Facebook and join the Escaping Ordinary group. You'll find the link in the episode notes. Once you're there, you'll be able to interact with me and like-minded entrepreneurs also looking to escape ordinary. Oh, and when you join the group, you'll get a special gift designed especially for those escaping their ordinary. In the meantime, be looking for those precious gems of inspiration all around you when you're traveling the world or just going around the corner, and start filling your treasure chest of insights.